already heard the question, you got more time to think. Imagine if you didn't know your age. What if this concept never existed? Interesting, isn't it? So how old do you think you are if you didn't know your age? 15? 50? 65? Or even 5? Think about it and hold on to that number. We are all required to act our age. But if age was never a consideration, would you make different life decisions? Would you go back to college, start a new business, or pick up old interests and hobbies? What if you lived beyond 100 years but never thought of age? Let me tell you a story about something we all fear as human beings: aging. The story of Tithonus and Eos. Now, Eos was a Greek goddess of dawn who magically woke up the world every morning with her rings of light. Although a goddess, Eos was cursed to fall in love with mortal men. And one day, Eos fell in love with Tithonus, the handsome, young, brave prince of Troy. They lived together, had children, and everything seemed well. But as time passed, Eos remembered something she had completely overlooked. Mortals do not live forever, and Tithonus was destined to age and die. Realizing this, she rushed to the king of gods, Zeus, begging him to grant immortality to Tithonus. Now, Zeus is considered a very jealous god. He was not happy with Eos's infatuation with a rival. But anyhow, he granted the wish, literally. He gave immortality to Tithonus, but did not give him eternal youth. And as life would have it, Tithonus grew old, became frail, and became a man who could not die. With his constant babbling, he drove Eos away. To give him relief of his misery, Eos then transformed him into a grasshopper, which is why in Greek mythology, a grasshopper is considered immortal. Someone who keeps suffering and chirping away in misery. Would you want to be that immortal grasshopper? If I were to ask you right now, how long would you want to live? What would that number be? 100? 120? Forever? How old is too old? As a tech optimist, I expect to live healthily until the age 120, assuming I don't get hit by a bus tomorrow. And I think this is very achievable. Over the last 200 years, average life expectancy has more than doubled to 72 years. But it is in the past few decades where we have seen real breakthroughs in longevity research. Gene editing technologies like CRISPR have opened floodgates to research on reverse aging. Scientists are on the cusp of beating aging and will have dramatically improved health in our later years. Not only that, longevity is a continuously evolving line. Today, we already have 10 years added to our lives, which will bring us to a future point in time where gene technology would have evolved even further, adding 2 or more decades to our lives. But what do we do with this extended lifespan? With advanced technology and medicines, it will be possible to stay young and vital indefinitely. But most of us expect that we will turn old and frail in our later years. But if we had the body and capability of a 30-year-old, why not try new things? Let me give you a perspective. Think about the oldest person in your family circle. Barring a few, most of the elderlies are considered frail. But now, imagine that your grandmother looks like a young adult, plays tennis every evening, and is a biotech food designer. Or imagine that your grandfather teaching you advanced AI coding techniques, flying drones, and even taking piano lessons in the evening. It is hard to envision such a scenario, as we cannot picture our elderlies in a better shape than we are. But with advances in gene technology, aging will soon be a thing of the past. All of us sitting here in this auditorium will have an extended, healthy lifespan. Scientists believe that the average life expectancy could increase up to 115. Just think about that delta for a second. 72 versus 115. That's a whopping 40 plus years added to our lives. But what is the purpose of this long life? Would life get boring if we had to live until age 120? Have you ever thought about it? The question to ask is not how long do we want to live for. The real question that we should ask ourselves is how to create purpose in this lengthy life. How to make it more meaningful. For me, I wish to create purpose in two areas of my life: learning and mindfulness. Studies show that preschool kids, on an average, ask about 70 plus questions per day. By middle school, this number dwindles further. What is more surprising is that by the age 25, only 2% think outside the box. Do we stop asking questions because we have lost interest? Or does the society reward only in having the right answer, but not in asking the right question? Sadly, as we age, reality begins to weigh heavily on our shoulders. While we have Alexa, Google, and Siri answer questions on our voice commands, when was the last time we asked a question to learn something new? Slowly, we moved away from asking why to simply asking what and how. When was the last time you learned a new language, a new musical instrument, a new sport? Sadly, somehow as we age, we think we cannot learn new things, that we are too old to learn new things. But does curiosity change as we age? Does it decrease? On the contrary, research shows that while we age, there might be some cognitive decline, but there is no decrease in curiosity. Instead, curiosity and happiness are deeply connected. Remember our happiness as kids when we used to be so excited about learning new things? But what happens then when we age? Why do we stop being curious? Curiosity is more than just a learning commitment. Older adults who stay curious are more happier. They are not passive observers of life. They look at every opportunity to grow and learn. So what are you curious about? What is that one skill or hobby that you always wanted to develop but thought you never had the time? What is the career that you wanted to explore but thought you were too old for it? With these 3 to 4 additional healthy decades added to our lives, keep that curiosity alive. Make it a purpose to learn something new of your interest every day. Happiness is also correlated to being present in the moment. But as champions of multitasking, we want to make the most of the 24 hours that we get in a day. We go for long runs, but with plugged earphones. We go to scenic places for vacations, but are more keen on clicking pictures. We cook tasty meals, but with one eye on the television. We're stuck in traffic jams, but keep scrolling on the phone to keep our minds occupied. In the rush to accomplish multiple tasks, we lose the connection. We lose the connection in being present at the moment. It is indeed tough to slow down in a fast-paced world. Over 100 years ago, there was a famous Welsh poet, William Davies, who wrote, "What is this life? If full of care, we have no time to stand and stare." More than a century later, even with the availability of helpful tools that make our life easy, this poem is still relevant as we continue to live rushed and hurried lives. On the contrary, practicing mindfulness, can help you live in the moment. It is being studied scientifically and is considered a key element in stress reduction. By mindfulness, I do not mean waking up early and meditating, which of course has its own benefit. But mindfulness can be practiced in daily routine simple things. Just take a step back. Just shift your focus from the usual preoccupations and take time to experience your environment with all the senses. The next time you go for a jog, pay attention to the sound of birds. Listen to the sound of leaves rustling under your shoes. On your daily commute, look for how the flowers have bloomed, how the trees have changed. Practice mindful eating. Cherish every bite of food that you take. Savor the taste of every coffee sip. Enjoy that cool sensation every time you sanitize your hands. Make it a point to look for small opportunity to practice mindfulness in your daily routine. Mindfulness isn't difficult. We just need to remember to do it for as long as we live. As human beings, we are all assigned a shared fate. We all come with an expiration date. That someday, somehow, we all will die. But with these 3 to 4 additional healthy years added to our lives, don't let any thought of aging limit you anymore. Think about all the possibilities, the mountains you could climb, the multiple careers you could delve in. So forget how old you are. Instead, think about how to create a meaningful and a purposeful life. Do not be the miserable grasshopper. Thank you.